Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade, and today for my final review in my Superman series, I'm going to be reviewing, you guessed it, Man of Steel from 2013, directed by Zack Snyder and starring Henry Cavill as the big blue Boy Scout himself, along with Amy Adams, Kevin Costner, Diane Lane, Lawrence Fishburne, Michael Shannon, Russell Crowe, and I feel like I'm leaving out somebody else. A lot of big names in this film, but anyway, you did hear me right. Even though I know I am obviously aware that there are two other DCEU films featuring this very iteration of Superman, just didn't have time to get to them all. And plus, I feel that it's more fitting to tackle like the solo Superman films anyway, because after all, that's what we're getting today. I know the film dropped today. I'm gonna be seeing it sometime later this weekend. I'm not seeing it today, but that's what we just got, a solo Superman film, not like a Justice League reboot film. So I feel like I've done enough, like just tackling all the well, not literally all of them, but we're not going to talk about Superman 3 or 4, but tackling the Superman solo films that I wanted to talk about. So apologies in advance, but yeah, that does mean there will be no Batman versus Superman review, and there will be no Justice League review. Neither the 2017 Joss Whedon version nor Zack Snyder's original vision. When did that come out? 2021. But I guess before I wrap up this video after I'm finished talking about Man of Steel, I can give you my brief, like my lightning quick thoughts on both those films, because feels like the right thing. It still feels like, they're worth mentioning because they do feature Cavill Superman. But anyway, jumping into Man of Steel, it's easily one of those movies that not only is very divisive, but also people on both sides, whether people love this film or whether people hate this film, are extremely passionate about their viewpoints. And I know there are like several, that's the case with a lot of things out there, but I've just noticed, like, people on either side of the Man of Steel argument are just very vocal. You have people who this new unique take that Zack Snyder went for, and you have people who absolutely despise it and will die on the hill that this goes against everything Superman is supposed to stand for. And as for yours truly, I'm of the former category. I absolutely love this movie. I'm very much aware that it definitely strays from the usual depiction of the lighthearted, optimistic, alien who stands for truth, justice, and the American way. Even though, of course, in the comic books, we've had times where Superman stories have gotten dark. Superman has turned downright evil, all that good stuff. But usually, it is understandable for someone to say, like, well, that's not how Superman is usually depicted, all that good stuff. So if you do feel that way, if you just can't stand this film, I can still, even though I enjoy it, every time I watch it, I can totally understand why die-hard Superman comic book purists are like, no, this isn't right, this is messed up. I can totally see that, even though I enjoy this film every time I watch it. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I like this darker, grittier, more realistic Superman. I like how Snyder's Man of Steel doesn't focus so much on the messianic portion of this character. How he, doesn't make all those allegories to Jesus Christ like Superman Returns did, because it instead, even though there are definitely still some religious allegories in here, but instead this focuses on that outcast aspect of this character, where if somebody like this existed, it's probably more realistic to say that most people wouldn't have the friendliest, most welcome reactions in this world. And I like how this movie unapologetically explores that and ultimately shows that there can't hope and optimism can't exist without darkness and despair. And I really did enjoy that approach overall. I will say I mostly enjoyed, the villain in this movie. It's once again General Zod, played by Michael Shannon. But I do wish that we had gotten a little bit more backstory. I wish we had gotten a little bit more of a chance to see where he was coming from, what his viewpoint is, because he just explains it to us, and it's like, yeah, even though you're just telling us why you're doing what you're doing, I get what you're saying, but I wish we could have seen more of that play out, because we get to see a lot more of Krypton than we did in Superman 1, Superman 2, or definitely Superman Returns, where we didn't see any of Krypton. We get to see a lot more of Krypton here, so I really wish we had gotten more of Zod and his fellow Kryptonian insurgents. I also wish that, what else did I not like? I also wish, I wish that Superman himself, Kal-El himself, Clark Kent himself, kind of got a little bit more character development. It was odd that he was like so, kind of like silent for most of the movie. And then again, so was Ralph Superman. And, story wise, script wise, I can see why Ralph Superman was silent. I definitely can see why Cavill's Superman is, more on the quiet side as well, more on the loquacious side as well. It makes some sense within the context of what Zack Snyder is going for. I get what he's trying to do. Like, this guy's an outcast. He's a loner. He's just rejected everywhere he goes. But, I wish, we could have gotten, we could have gotten a bit more from him. It's odd watching this movie called Man of Steel, where the Man of Steel himself seems like kind of at too many points in the film seems like kind of like pushed aside in his own movie. So that really bugs me as well. But other than that, honestly, and I know, there are some people who are like, what? You didn't talk about this? You didn't talk about that? That made no sense. Honestly, other than that, for me, myself personally, I have no other major complaints about this movie. I like how they don't just repeat the iconic John Williams score. I like how Hans Zimmer did something completely different with the soundtrack. In my opinion, Man of Steel's soundtrack is on par with the iconic John Williams Superman theme. I like this one just as much. I like the gray color muted look of the film. I like I even enjoy like the documentary camera aesthetic, where the camera is seldom still. I like the action. I like that we got to see a more physical Superman take on opponents who could physically match him, and ultimately, I know it's unpopular and I can't spoil it. I'm not going to say what it is, but I even liked that scene. And those of you who have seen this movie know exactly what I'm talking about. In my opinion, it actually made a lot of sense for this take on Superman, and I like what was demonstrated, what was emphasized during that scene. So wrapping it up, I'm going to go ahead and give Man of Steel a solid 9 out of 10. I dig the hell out of this film. I enjoyed the hell out of this film. I like how they took, a very popular existing IP, a very popular character, and did something completely different with them. The risks, in my opinion, paid off. And this is, no, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to say it. This is to date, my favorite live action Superman film. That's right. Even more than the 2 Christopher Reeve films. And I'm not saying those films suck. If you saw my review of Superman 1 and 2, I adore those films as well. But I like Man of Steel a little bit more. And that's just my 2 cents. So 9 out of 10 for Man of Steel. And, just briefly giving my quick summary thoughts on Batman versus Superman and Justice League, and I'll just do both versions. Theatrical version of Batman versus Superman, very obviously very disjointed, doesn't feel like a cohesive story. A lot was taken out. I was never the biggest fan of it, so it's like around a 5 or 6 out of 10. But I did like how they portrayed Batman in that movie. Ben Affleck did a fantastic job. Ultimate Edition, it's been a minute since I've seen the Ultimate Edition, but it was a little bit more cohesive. But I never, even though I've seen the Ultimate Edition, I never, was of my opinion that the additional footage and the additional scenes fixed the whole movie. It's still a very messy, sloppy movie that never lived up to its full potential. Essentially Joss Whedon's Justice League. I know, again, another unpopular opinion. I liked it. I think that the lighter tone sometimes worked, not always. Obviously, that's not what Snyder was originally going for. You know, we all know he had to step away because of that the unfortunate tragedy with his daughter. So what we got in 2017 was not at all what he was going for, and that's what pissed a lot of people off. That's what started the whole Snyder Cut movement, and unfortunately gave birth to the infamous Snyder Bros. But I never hated that movie. Yes, it's disjointed and disoriented in parts, but the lighter tone doesn't kill the movie for me. I don't know what else to say, but I still recognize and understand, and I still do believe, like a lot of you out there, that it definitely still feels like an incomplete film, like an incomplete work print. It definitely still feels like something was rushed out. So it's right up there with the theatrical BVS and being kind of like a 6 out of 10, where it's like, yeah, there you left a lot more to be desired. And with Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's been a minute with that one as well. But I remember seeing it for the first time on Max when they released it on streaming, and I was just like, yes, this is it. This is the complete vision. It might, damn well has to be, because it's like 4 hours long. So this is the complete vision. It feels like a complete vision. It sticks to that darker, grittier tone. It does his vision of the DCEU complete justice, and it was a joy to watch from start to finish. I was never bored for all the 4 hours, and I watched the 4 hours of that film in one sitting, so I really enjoyed it. I would put it right now at a 9 out of 10, but honestly, I'm just gonna have to rewatch those on a separate date. So, yep, those are my thoughts on all of those films. That's my review for Man of Steel, my quick reviews for both versions of BVS and Justice League. Can't wait to see what James Gunn does with Superman this weekend. This has been another edition of Wade Watches, and I will see you lovely people next time. Peace.